alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Today I will take you back to the 1973 war for the liberation of the Sinai Peninsula. As I mentioned earlier in a different episode, I had got 4 of my cousins, 3 from my father's side and 1 from my mother's side. The 3 from my father's side, one of them was an engineer and officer as well, Hassan. The second one was a military officer in the Second Army. His name was Jalal. And the third one was a conscript in the army, which is a soldier auxiliary in the Second Army as well. The fourth one from my mother was Hisham Al-Jiresi, and was actually another electrical engineer in the army as well. This was actually how the family were giving the best of her sons and young ones to the army to defend the dignity and the integrity and the credibility and the freedom of the country itself. Today I'm going to talk about one of them who became martyr in 1973 war. Actually, Muhammad is one of the my cousins from my father. Hany Elbanna was my cousin from my father's side. He was very gentle, very quiet, very polite, but Allah chosen him to be one of those martyrs who actually died during the 1973 war. May Allah bless his soul, and everybody in the family was shocked. He was in the mid-20s at that time. But the second one was more horrifying. He was from my mother's side, which his name Bishr. Bishr was the youngest amongst us, and he was qualified from the School of Agriculture and in Cairo University, and he was the most handsome amongst us. And at his generation was 4 young men from my auntie's side, my auntie from my mother's side, and 2 from my uncle's side, from my mother's side as well, and 2, which is myself and my brother Muhammad as well. So actually those 8 young people, he was the most handsome and the second youngest in the group. And because he was very handsome and very eloquent, he was actually given a job in Egypt Air as an air steward, and he was working for them. And his mother was all the time scared that he dies in the air, because not many people were actually realizing that the safety of the airplane at that time. But he used to tell her, "Mommy, don't worry about me. I'm not going to die on air. I'm going to die on land." And she said, "Besh, don't say that. Don't say that they are going to die." Because at that time, in 1978 or 79, I can't remember exactly what year he died. Actually, I think it must be January or February 1979. And he came to London, and this was I was doing my saving after the first few months working there as a medical doctor, and I met him. No, it was my first job. I was in Reading. It's my first job, and I saved about 240 to 250 pounds, and I went to see him because he came with the Egypt Air crew to the Sheraton Hotel, and I went there to give him about 240 to 250 pounds. This was my first savings sent to my mother in Egypt. And when I was praying Maghrib with him in the hotel, he looked at my socks and found there's a hole in my socks. And he told me, "Get lost. You saved all this money to send it to your mother, and you don't save some money to get a new pair of socks for yourself." I was joking with him because all he was cracking jokes. Bish went during this time to get his military certificate from one of the camps. I think it was in the Ismailia or in Suez at that time, in one of the weeks in the first month of the year, either January or February, and or actually later on. Later on, not January or February. I think July or August, and he went on Wednesday of one of these weeks, and took his father's car. I can remember it's one of those huge cars at that time, to go and just pick up the certificate and come back. Wednesday is gone, he didn't come back. Thursday is gone, didn't come back. They thought that he's staying there in the camp to finish and prepare his certificate. And Friday, after at 3 o'clock exactly, while everybody is watching the football match and everybody at home, a military convoy came with 2 or 3 vehicles to his father's house with the body of Bishr Rahmatullah alayh, and on the spot the family was told, go and open the grave, one of the graves in the graveyard, to bury Bishr instantly. And we didn't know what to do. You see, there was screaming and crying in our house, and all the neighborhood in our area thought that the Hany Elbanna in UK is dead. But my brothers-in-law in Nasr City and others went to open the first grave to bury Bishr. Was at that time at the age of 27 or 28 or 29. I did not know that. I had a dream on the same Saturday of the same week. As Bishr was not talking to me, I was talking to his brother Hisham, and Bishr was standing amongst us, not talking to us, and just left us and ran fast. And I could be able to explain this to his brother, why Bishr is leaving us and not talking to us. And then I had a phone call from one of my sister's friend telling me that your cousin is dead. Said how, who, he, because all of them are young. I said Bishr. It was the biggest shock. Here the lesson is, yes, the both cousins of mine died as martyrs, but we have to respect, especially in the second case, the transparency of giving this dose of death in a very subtle way to the family, not to come at 3 o'clock in the afternoon and do it by now. You have to bury the body and that's it. And this was really extremely shocking, and led to the deterioration of the health of my uncle, who had a leukemia at the time, then died in a few months' time. Then his wife, who died actually because she became bedridden, she could not be able to move, and she was diabetic, and she died with very severe bed sores in the bed. Please respect the dignity, credibility of the family, of the martyred people, and just not treat them as their stones, have no feeling and have no emotion in themselves. May Allah accept the souls of my 2 cousins as shaheed, and accept all the souls of the shuhada for the country and for the deen and for the values and for the honor of their family. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.